Welcome. Today we're going to be talking about why you can't afford living any longer these days and what to do about it. Now, a little caveat, some of these solutions for you are very limited, so you need to act right away. Take a listen, be first to react and to do something about it, but in either case, you can start making a difference for you and your family. Right now on Business Brokering, serious business for serious entrepreneurs. Alrighty, we're getting started today, and you will note that the URL below is one of the resources that you really should be utilizing, and after this show, you should head on over there and look at it and consider that for a solution for your needs. It's the business brokerage. Out of all of our business packages that we offer, that is by this one by far is the most comprehensive and the best to position yourself exceptionally for anyone who already has a home business or anything like that, or even a brick and mortar business. This is really going to make your business fly. It's funny because when I was in my print shop, I had a print shop in New York City. I was seriously considering this because I had seen a business consultant or met him. I met a business consultant and I observed, I met him. He was a client of mine, was also a client of his. I was doing the printing, and he was providing other services plus marketing. And I observed what he was doing, what he was offering, and I said to myself, I can do everything he's doing and better and more expansive because of all the other things I did and the things I knew. So this was an early thought of mine that finally came into reality because of its great significance. Of course, I've gone way beyond this, but in any case, for most of you, this is the most important opportunity that you'll ever going to have the chance to get started with. It doesn't matter. You can be like me. You have your own print shop. You got your clients, but you need, or you're looking for, or you appreciate the fact that you can like expand and dominate in your city. This is what you need, and you should really look into it. But enough of that. Let's get into the content for today. Um, Today we're going to look at why the typical worker, and this article that we're going to reference is on U.S. workers. Why U.S. workers can no longer afford a family on a year's salary, showing the Insider, in Business Insider, I believe is the publication that has this feature. Okay, so it says here the typical U.S. male worker needs more than 1 year's salary to afford the typical cost of a family of four, according to a new report by the Manhattan Institute. And the funny thing is that this is the Manhattan Institute, is that living in Manhattan, you have to be rich, or at least earn more than $60,000 a year to be able to live in New York City at all. And it's amazing how many people are in New York City who don't make that much. You're not making that much. That's an issue. So if you're not making that much, you got to make changes quickly. And the reason is because it's only going to go higher. It's not going to get less. It's not going to go lower. It's only going to get higher. So people, you have to start making moves. You just can't keep trying to pay the bills, meet the bills. You're killing yourselves. You really are. Give yourself a chance. Give your families a chance. Start making significant changes in your spending and in the way you're bringing in money. There's many ways that you can make changes. So we're going to talk about some of them in this program. In 1985, we continue. It took him 30 weeks' pay to afford 13,227 in expenditures versus needing 53 weeks' pay to afford 54,441 in 2018. So it's evidence of the dire state of the American middle class, which is struggling as living costs outpace wage increases. Then, of course, we have people who make even less, who are lower income. I mean, what is the hope? What are you guys doing? What is really what you're hoping for? If you're not doing something substantial to offset the situation, just getting a job is not enough. It's great. It's a good thing, right? But it's not going to be enough. Stop thinking. Some people say, if I can only get a job, if I can only find a job, it's not, even if you got the job, it is not going to be enough. And most people, especially young people, you guys have very little health issues, and you keep living like nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to happen, and you find some type of equilibrium, some type of stability, but at the same time, you are not suffering from any sickness or having an accident that could lay you up in a hospital. If you lost your job, your stability would completely collapse, right? So, again, there's a lot of assumptions that young people make, thinking in error that they're okay. With a job, I'm okay. With a job, I'm okay. That mentality is totally erroneous. With a job, you're still having problems, and any little thing can push you over the edge and to have major issues. So do never assume that just working 9 to 5 is enough. And if you're in big cities like New York City, absolutely not enough, folks. Not enough. So you have to be, if you have a job, great. But you're not doing what you need to get ahead. Having a job is not getting ahead. And I've always said this. I got my friends out there. You know who you are, working for the unions, and some of you guys are organizers for unions, and that more power to you. I'm really proud of you, by the way. Defending some people, trying to get things, for them and all that. But philosophically, we're at odds, as you well know. And the thing is, I've never, 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 never appreciated the strikes or anything like that for more money that a lot of people do. I agree. You need more money. I really do agree with that. It's not that I don't think you deserve more money. The problem is that you're wanting more money from the wrong place and the wrong system. You're depending on a system of employment to make you financially independent. And that's not what it's made to be. It was never made to be that. So if you want more money, and if you I know you need more money. You need more money. It's not just wanting it. And then you want extra because you want more. You really need to look into starting your own business. That's what you need to be doing. It isn't looking at the employer to pay you more. Now, unless there's a higher paying position that you can apply for, ask for, or earn, which is perfectly fine, it's wonderful. But again, I'm going to give you a little secret. Your job is not guaranteed. No job is. Okay? So don't look at jobs as permanent sources of income. They are not. Okay? And I'm not suggesting to you that a business is a permanent source of income. I'm just telling you that if you were working and are working and can have a business that you tend to after work, or you hire people to attend to during the time you're working, and you can build that business up, right, and get the help you need to build it up, then that's going to be perfect. Because even if you lost the other job, right, lost your job, you have the business to take care of bills, right? Those emergencies, those things that happen that are not guaranteed. Your job isn't guaranteed to help with. And so even if you lost your job, you have extra protection. You may have an accident walking home, driving home from work. You can't work for 2, 3 months. Think about that. How much would that do for you? Yes, it is. You want to take my pulse? Someone asks, "Is this if this is live?" I am alive. Okay, so yeah, if you have a question, fine. If you want to troll, that's okay too. So in any case, you need to have some extra protection in the case that you get sick and are unable to work. Then how your bills gonna get paid? Now, if you had an extra side thing going on, business, that could be paying those bills, so you don't have to worry about it. And those bills can be paid. And then you have situations like you laid up in the hospital, because of course if you're sick, if you got hit in an accident, there's things that need to get paid for outside of the possibility of a lawsuit that you make to compensate for damages and things of that nature. You still got months to wait for. I mean, these things can really put you back, destroy your credit. I know people that wait. The lawyer said, "Don't pay anything. Don't pay anything. We're gonna get it. Don't pay anything." But at all the while, your credit's going down the hill, and then life moves on. Life moves on. Not really. I haven't done any pre-recorded stuff here for a while, for a long time. Mostly when you see me on, I'm live. Mostly. There's sometimes that I will put a pre-recording, but I'll put it up. It'll say pre-recording. I won't do that. I will never put something on that's pre-recorded and not say it, because it's easy for me to do that, and it's the right thing to do as a broadcaster. In any case, so these things can destroy you. They'll destroy your credit, and all because you didn't take the precaution of making sure you had some other income stream to protect you. And some of these things can knock you out for good. That means that you won't be able to go back to work, or you lose your job because you're just too long out of work, and the company needs to move on, needs to hire someone to take your position and they need to stay in business. So that's the nature of business. So in any case, just depending on a job is foolish in today's society. It's foolish. It's plain and simple. Okay. At one time, the jobs were like, yeah, this is the premium thing. This is the thing to do. Because of course before that you only had agriculture. You grew your own food and stuff like that, and you had to you survive yourself or barter. That was a different way of life back in the day. But then the cities grew, the and jobs became more the thing to do instead of farming your own land. And so that's how we got into all these jobs. But then came the dependency, which you should never have, on this thing that we created called jobs. And so that's the mistake many people make. And then obviously I've said this before in other broadcasts. I do a lot of courses, by the way, many, too many to list here. Just watch the broadcasts, or you go to arithmeticuniversity.org and you see what classes that I'm giving there. And otherwise, each video has some type of teaching related to it, or business opportunities. So that's what we're doing. Very simple. Okay, so the other mistake we do is we are working all these years for a boss, right, or for a company, and then we figure we're going to retire and everything's going to be hunky dory with the pension. The problem with that is that it doesn't work that way for everyone. Certain circumstances will wipe you out. If you guys don't know this, at least in the United States, I don't know how it works in other countries, but in the United States, you get old, they're wiping you out. And your medicines cost sky high. Okay, and of course, when you get older, you get more sickly. So you will be spending on medications and things of that nature. They're trying to battle these things. But the reality is that getting old in the United States, you need to be wealthy to stay afloat. I know people that are paying hundreds to $1,000 or more dollars per month on medicine, and they have Medicare. It doesn't help. Do not fool yourself into thinking that Social Security, Medicaid, or Medicare is going to be enough. It is not. Your pension, it's a good thing. Like I can tell you from my own parents' experience, and my father had a great pension. This guy was making cash, sitting home, watching TV. Okay, he had the bucks. All right, but most of that went to the pharmacist. That's a fact. When he got ill, when he passed away already, um, he got ill. It was all wiped out. All wiped out. I know a guy in Texas who was in real estate. He made money easy. He had lots of properties. Okay. And he was living easy, nice, set up, retired. His only job was going around collecting rent, man. This guy was set. He was just old and rich, had money. Money was coming in, and rent and all that. That was fine. His wife took ill. They were elderly. And he had to sell all of his properties just to pay the hospital bill. And his wife died. His wife died. But the hospital bills were so humongous, he was wiped out. And he's still alive. He's still alive today. But he lost everything. And then, we say he lost it. He gave it up. He sold it in order to pay the bills. Because he's also a man of integrity. This is bills. My wife got sick. I got to pay it, so I'm going to pay it. At least he had the way to pay it. But he lost everything. See? So, again, there were better ways he could have done. I teach better ways for you to do that. So even if that had happened, where you had these massive bills and all that, he would not have lost his property. But anyway, that's for one of my classes, real estate classes. But in any case, again, the system is made to take all your money. So all the hard work you do all your life, and you've been working for the man or for the boss all your living days, and you say, I gotta get a job, I'm gonna be good with a job, and then I'll have the union benefits, and all of that. Yeah, 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 right. Because at the end of the day, the system is designed to impoverish you. When you die, you have nothing left. It's called a transfer of wealth, and that's really what goes on. People take all your money away. So whatever you're working on, whatever you're doing, you have to understand that the system is made to take your money and leave you with nothing. Because what you need money for after you're dead. I mean, we understand. We can understand that. We don't want people building pyramids and being buried with all their money, which at one time was done, right? So the United States doesn't want its money being buried with people. So it wants to make sure, and not that they did this just for this, but it's just set up that way. The older system, um, health, and what else? The health, particularly because when you get old, and then taxes, the government taxes and things, it's all set up to wipe you out as you die. So you go dying, they go, sticking needles in you, and each time is a few $1,000s, and they're not just sucking out blood from you, they're sucking out dollars, and that money gets transferred. If you have to stay in a what they call that, a rehabilitation center, tens of thousands of dollars per night, it's gonna wipe you out. And so that's the way it's made. It's made to be that way. So basically, what do you do to stay that? Is that you have to work smart. You can't be depending on a job. Number one, don't depend on a job. Use a job. Use a job. But build up other income streams. And the other income streams preferably should work without you being putting in, all extra hours and things like that. You have to work that carefully, because if you get sick, you can't work, then you can't work your business either. So you have to be careful what you're doing. But you really need to do things in a smart manner, in a smart way, so that no matter what happens, money is coming in. And for many, that means, like real estate, because real estate, you don't need to put your time, your work into to get the money. Real estate, you're buying assets, and that brings in the money to you every month. And it doesn't have to be real estate at all. It could be any type of property. So it doesn't need to be real estate. You just need to have property that other people will pay monthly for, or pay a rent for, that you can have income coming in. Or either sell, flip. You buy at a low price, you sell at a high price, and you do that every month. You're able to buy things cheaply or acquire things for free, which a lot of people do too, and then they go and sell, and that's extra money coming in. But again, they have to sell it, so it's a physical thing they have to do. Real estate is, once you get a tenant, it's money coming in every month. There are problems with that, of course, but then you have management companies to take care of those problems, right? You have to give them a little bit of the money. But again, these are things you have to look into and see what fits best for you. But absolutely, you have to not just think of the short term, you have to think of the long term and think of disaster. I know we all teach you to think positive, think positive, but don't think stupid. And stupid thinking is ignoring the negative possibilities. So thinking positive doesn't mean to ignore the negative possibilities. That means what that is planning for the unforeseen. There's nothing negative about that. It's actually a very positive action. Okay, so that's the difference. So that is what you have to look into. So in either case, most people listening to this show today, you guys have issues and will have issues in your life. So take heed to my friendly warning. I've seen too many of that over and over again. So let's continue with this wonderful article here. And so the American economy may be booming, but its middle class is struggling. The median male U.S. worker now has to earn over a year's salary to afford annual expenses for a family of four, according to the Cost of Thriving Index, in a new report published by conservative think tank the Manhattan Institute and previously reported by the Washington Post. In 1985, the typical male worker needed 30 weeks' pay. I think we read this already, so I guess it's repeating it. But the fact is that he needed to cover housing, health care, and that was back in the day in 85. Remember that, 85, not now. This is ridiculous. You right now you just need 13,227 just to cover healthcare, not the rest. Housing, healthcare, transportation, education. As of 2018, these expenditures have had risen to 54, and about 13, 14 of that is healthcare. And our typical male has to work 53 weeks to get there. So in other words, that you're working at a deficit of 1 week per year. And every year you work, you are getting in debt 1 week. And if you work 10 years, then you are 10 weeks back. If you work for 50 years, like when you retire, now you're an old man, you're in your 60s and your 70s, you are backed up financially for over a year. And at this point, you're talking about backed up by $54,000. By then, it could easily be in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. You don't notice this day to day, week to week. You don't notice this because you're healthy. You just get some cough syrup. But when things start hitting the fan, when age begins to hold more weight, weighing you down, and things begin to happen and turmoil, because that's another thing a lot of people aren't thinking about. This thing now with the coronavirus, just to mention something that's coming up here that even in the U.S., we're going to have to worry about. This coronavirus thing can affect you and your family. And it's not my intention to scare y'all, but yeah, you need to be aware that anything, even wars, can impact the business you work for, can impact your job, can impact the economy, and just skew everything and make it impossible for you to live, to afford living. So you have to make preparations now. The preparations, if nothing happens, the preparations will make you wealthy. Wow. Blame me for that. As a matter of fact, throw all your money at me so that I can be hurt by it. Okay? To get back at me. Nothing happened, Rosato. Nothing happened. I want to throw $1 million in your face so you can drop dead. Do that. But if things happen, then you are safe. Your family is safe. You have options. You survive. And this is the thing that you have to understand. As you grow old, no matter what happens, everybody's okay. And if you pass away, even with whoever's supposed to pay what, your family will be okay. You have to do the smart thing. And most young people, if you start now, if you're in your 20s, now's the time to prepare for retirement. Believe it or not. When you start working, you get to working age, you need to think about the end game. It's not just having fun, getting, all these young people do the same thing over and over. They get a job and they want to spend. They want to buy this. They want to go to that restaurant. They go, all the friends invite them because your friends invite you. Then now comes your turn, and you have to also do the stupid thing that they've been doing, which is spending their money like it's water when you should be investing your money. When are we going to see young people? Hey, let's get together and let's invest. You're never going to hear that from a young person. What are you investing? What do you think? I'm an old growey? Right. Yes, that's what they're thinking, but that's the right thing to do. That's the right thing to do. To do it early so you can retire early. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine retiring when you're 30 years old? Which you can do. If you start at 20, you'll be retired by 30. And you'll be enjoying your life, traveling all over the world, doing whatever you want to do, and not having to worry about money. But since you rather eat at the restaurant with your friends and pay theirs, and you rather spend your money, doing whatever you want to do, and getting the fancy car and riding around like a fool, well, then that's what happens. You spend it all. And by the time you learn the lessons that I'm telling you now, it's too late because you probably lost your job. And now, when you come to think about it, I said, man, I should have been doing this a long time ago. You're absolutely right. That's what I'm telling you. Let's look back at the this article here. All right, so it says here that the cost is a cost of thriving versus typical wages for a male worker. And here we see we have housing costs throughout the years as it's increased. We have health insurance. You can see that it's taken a large increase. But notice how the difference between the health care here in the 85 versus how much you were paying for rent or for buying a house, right? See what's happened now? Right now it costs more to pay for health care, health insurance, excuse me. Most probably, if you're trying to pay health insurance, you're paying more than you were paying for where you live. And that's ridiculous. There's a problem. But I don't want to get political. I've saved that for my political shows. But there is a serious problem that you have to pay more for health care, which is an insurance, than it is than what you're paying to live where you live. Incredible. Simply incredible. Then we have transportation costs. And then we have college here. Now, the median wage for a full-time male worker before an 85 could cover these expenses. And then there was fluff. There was fluff. Discretionary funds. But today, you are still needing money. You wind up needing extra money. And then you need to use it on your credit card or loan some money to pull you over. And that's the state that most people will find themselves. That's the state. If you don't have enough money when you want to do something or get something, or you need to pay a bill and you don't have enough, that's telling you that you need to do something. The females are even worse off. Look at the females here. Look at them. They simply are drowning here. Okay? Because you make less money to begin with. Because everything else is the same. The only difference is that your wages are not as high as that of a male, shoots up to about 55,000, and the female only gets to about 40,000. So the females always are still behind the pin. Both sexes are below the total cost of thriving line in the above charts as measured by the Manhattan Institute. This means a single earner household is now impossible. So they're saying that living costs are now outpacing wage increases. But you see, let me tell you something. It's not, they're saying that the living cost, the cost of living, and I understand that that's the statement. It now costs more to live. But that doesn't mean it's supposed to cost that much. And this is the thing I really hate about what's going on, is that these costs are unnecessary. They're abusive. Okay? They're abusive, and that means mismanagement. Somebody is mismanaging things, someone is abusing the system and gouging people. It has to stop. Now, I'm not promoting socialism. I don't believe in socialism. I believe in capitalism, but I know, it doesn't take much. I see a local hospital here. That local hospital right now is building almost twice its size, a new an annex, which is basically doubles the capacity of the hospital. Come on now, come on now, all right? These guys are making money. These guys are making money. And if you see the what these not the doctors per se, but they also ask for their money, but they're paying hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars for their education. It all starts there. Then you get all of these researchers and R&D companies creating these machines and all that, and everything costs millions of dollars, and it has to be paid for. It's just this whole system. I know what the socialists say. Oh, we do away with all that system. That you're complaining about capitalism and all that. No, I'm not complaining about capitalism. I'm complaining about greed, which is not necessarily capitalism. Greed uses capitalism. It doesn't have to be. So I think a lot of this is our expenditures that are abusive and not needed. And then that's why we can't afford to live any longer. Because that health is costing us the same and plus as where we live. And it should never, nothing should cost us more. Nothing should be costing us more than our shelter where we live. In other words, what you pay for rent should be the most you pay for anything else. Nothing else should be more than you paying your rent. So your health costs, if you pay $1,000 in rent, your health insurance for your family should in no way cost more than $1,000. Shouldn't be. Should be less. But according to this chart that we just finished seeing, you pay $1,000 for rent, and your health insurance is costing you like $1,800. That's what this chart is saying. $1,800. And of course, there's nothing wrong with you. You're healthy as a bird. You're 20 years old. You're just working. You're just doing your thing. Why is health insurance so high? And that's what's killing it for all of us. If it wasn't for that, if that was low as it was in '85, even the ladies would be okay. The ladies would be well beyond the limit, or the living cost of living amount. They will be well above it and living comfortably, but they're not. That's why I'm saying that you cannot depend on your job. And this is with unions. The unions are here, and still, this is the situation that we've seen. It's ridiculous. The unions are not at fault, but I'm just saying, don't put all your hopes in your union and in your job situation, because none of that is a guarantee, or a way for you to become well off. So let's read the end of this part here. You can read the whole article in Business Insight in the strategy section. Now, it says that now college tuition is another thing. It's another thing. It's just hideous. I'm not going to get into it. The price of home sales increased. So even to buy a house is even more difficult than it ever was before. It says that the increase in so many disparate costs shows that the middle class Americans are carrying several financial burdens. They're behind on home ownership, lagging in retirement savings. But again, it shouldn't be savings. It should be profits that you're making, that you're saving. You understand? Don't I think people are misunderstanding the terms. If you have retirement savings, again, not good. You should have retirement income, okay, and retirement savings. So the income that is pinned or dedicated for retirement is going into savings. See, that's retirement savings from retirement income. But that's not what you guys are learning, and that's not what you guys are thinking. You're thinking of this retirement savings as just money that's laying there waiting for you to retire. That's the craziness of it. So that's falling behind. Most have debt to pay off, according to previous Insider and Morning Consult survey. When all the paychecks from one year don't pay off a family's living costs, our typical male will feel he's living paycheck to paycheck. But it's actually worse than that. So the article is actually saying exactly what I've been saying. That's the feeling you get, that you every check. In other words, you're not going to buy this thing this week because you're going to wait for the next check. The moment you say that, that's when you should realize you're in trouble. The moment you say that, no, I'm going to wait for next week, or I'm going to wait for 2 weeks to get it. Oh, I have to wait till next month before I can get it. That type of language means that you're in deep trouble and you don't realize it. Okay. So you need to do as quickly as possible. It's almost like, and I'm going to describe to you what your situation is. You are pulling away from the shore. You're in a little dinghy. It's a little boat. And you sat there while it was next to the beach. And you thought that was fun. And you thought, oh, come to a little boat ride and this and that. But then you start noticing that the beach is getting farther away. And that's when you start saying, oh, I have to wait another week. I have to wait 2 weeks. I have to wait another month before I can buy this. That's the moment right there. That's the feeling. That's the feeling. That's what's actually happening. Your ship, your little boat is pulling away. The currents are pulling it out. And every time, every wave that happens, your boat slides out a little further. And with every slide out, you know what I'm talking about. Which every slide, every wave, your chances of getting back to the shore are less and less and less and less. Even if you left the ship because you don't have a paddle to row with, of course you don't make enough money, then you would have to swim. And you may not make it. You may not be able to swim your way back to the shore. And that is the risk that everyone is taking. Ladies and gentlemen, you need to take care of yourselves, okay, and your family. So that's the reason you have to think about these things. It's the reason that you need to do something about it quickly. Yeah, and you're going to have to get wet. What does that mean? You got on the boat so you don't have to get wet, right? That means you don't have to be in debt and you're floating, you're keeping afloat. And of course, so that you don't have to be in the water. But how are we going to get back to the shore? Tell me, how can you get back to the shore? What are you going to have to do? You're going to have to get wet. It means you're going to have to spend money. But my problem is that I don't have enough money because you've been spending your money on the wrong things. And you're getting back, and back, further and further. So what you have to do, you have to start making money happen. And you have to get something that's going to help you get ahead, a business that's going to help you have something to sell, some way of making money happen for you, and or you have to start selling things in order to get into something like what we have here, this URL, in order for you to then start making things turn the other way. But you need to act now. And this thing that's here, this URL, when you go there, it costs money. This is not a low costing entry point, not at all. But the good thing about this is that I show you how to get help with getting the money together. So even though you don't have this the requirements for this monthly on a monthly basis because you're trying to make more money and then it doesn't fit in your brain. Well, how is spending money here, how does that help? But the point is that you really just have to worry about the first month because this we show you how to get the other months covered for you. So you don't have to worry about that. The most important thing that you need to worry about is making the decision to act. And then after that, everything else is smooth sailing. This is a fantastic opportunity because even if you had something, maybe you started a few months ago or you've been trying to do something for the past year, you've been doing whatever product, whatever network marketing program, some type of home business thing, whatever it is, and you're still struggling with it. You're still trying to, maybe you've done okay. You're making $1,000 a month from it and stuff like that, right? But with this is going to make that and everything else you do simply expand like crazy. That's why this is worth it. This is something that everyone should look into and really consider. Unfortunately, only one of you can grab this up. Only one in your city. It's a great thing, but I can only help one of you. So be the first in your city and grab this one up for yourself. Okay, take a look at that and do yourself a favor. I've been telling you guys. Now, you guys seen a few things I've done, a few courses that they've mentioned here in the chat, a few courses that I do. I do real estate as well. I mean, I've been telling you some great stuff. You guys really need to take action before it's too late. Take care. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.